Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the other shoe is dropped. The Supreme Court has ruled on Obamacare. On June 28, 2012, the Supreme Court has found Obamacare constitutional. They had a stretch to do it, but they did it. They found Obamacare constitutional. So what does that really mean? What does that mean to you and I as citizens? Well, what it means is that Public Law 111-148, which Obamacare is the law of the land and has been found constitutional through the court system, and this is the law which we now live under. This has replaced the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. This law, which says that you will pay for elective abortions, whether you want to or not. This law that says there is no religious exemptions, there is no opt-out for any moral or religious reasons. This law is what you will live under. This law supersedes these laws. That's, in a nutshell, is what it means. Now, the only surprise in the vote from the Supreme Court is who provided the swing vote. It was Justice Roberts instead of Justice Kennedy. And what this vote did is this vote consolidated the power of the ruling class in Washington, D.C. Make no mistake about it, the Supreme Court is very much part of the ruling class. Those elites that have such superior intellect and superior education and superior upbringing, that have belonged to the correct sororities and fraternities. These people who are going to lead America and solve all their problems. Now, in exchange for the elites showering us with their intellect, we must keep them in a very high standard of living in Washington, D.C. They're not talking about what that's going to cost the average American's standard of living. But after all, the elites who think the average American can't walk and chew gum at the same time. And really, they need the elites need to guide us and solve our problems, because all we're doing is hanging on to our guns and our religion. That's what the ruling class is. Now, if you go into history, prior to the actual start of the Revolutionary War, Thomas Paine wrote a book called Common Sense. Common Sense. Today, the common sense of today is The Ruling Class by Angelo Cordovilla. This explains the ruling class. It explains what it is all about. It explains to the average American what has happened to their country and what will continue to happen to their country. This should be in every home, read by every American, and taught in every classroom. But the elites will never allow this book into a classroom. The message is clear, ladies and gentlemen. If the average American citizen wants to pass on to their children a country where they can live in freedom and opportunity, Obama must be defeated in November. President Obama must be denied a second term in November of this year. Can you imagine another 4 years of President Obama with unrestricted power? Look what he's done in the first 3.5 years. The DREAM Act couldn't pass Congress, so he just simply enacted it. He couldn't get what he wanted through Congress, so he's doing it through the agencies such as the EPA. When he went to war in Libya, he didn't go to the U.S. Congress, he went to the United Nations. Can we afford 4 years of unrestricted power? After all, he told the Russians, after the election's over, I can do what I want. Obama must be defeated. He must be defeated. In addition, conservative Republicans have to be elected to the House and the Senate. Conservative Republicans need to control the Congress because this is the only way Obamacare will be repealed. And this must be done. Because if it isn't, this is the law of the land. If it isn't, the panels in this law will decide what treatment your grandmother gets. If it isn't repealed, this will decide who gets what medical treatment, when, and how. And if the government can use this to control your health, what else is there? The task is easily defined, but not easily accomplished. What has to happen is the American public has to get involved. They have to talk about Obamacare. They have to get educated on Obamacare. They've got to talk to their neighbors. Again, going to history. Thomas Paine also wrote The Sunshine Patriot. In the darkest days of the Revolutionary War, when the Army was in the cold winter of Valley Forge, Thomas Paine wrote The Sunshine Patriot and asked the question, will you only fight in the warmth of summer? Or will you see the cause through even in the cold of winter? My question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is, are you Sunshine Patriots? Are you going to sit on your duff and do nothing? Are you going to expect your neighbor to do it? Or are you going to get out and talk to your neighbor about Obamacare? Talk about what this law means. Get involved. Send money to conservative candidates. Walk precincts for conservative candidates. That is what has to be done. And it has to be done now. Because if Obama is reelected, the damage that he will do in the next 4 years will probably never be reversed. There is a website called California Shrugged, and on that website there is a video on Obamacare. And we've been working on this video for a long time. And there's other information on Obamacare as well as other subjects. I would like you to go to this website, watch the video, and see what Obamacare really means and how it affects you. And this video will be updated to reflect the Supreme Court's decision. Again, I cannot implore you enough. Get involved. The time is now. It is not the time to be a Sunshine Patriot. Again, going to history for answers. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts. Not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow men who would pervert the Constitution. But overthrow men who would pervert the Constitution. I am not going to try and upstage Abraham Lincoln because he said it all. Thank you for your time.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Sometimes government has to step in to help deliver on that promise.